Alright, we have an example. So we have number 1. Actually, we only have 1. Okay. 1. A 32 kilogram block attached to the spring of stiffness 12 kilonewtons per meter can move without friction in a slot as shown. The block is given an initial 300 millimeters displacement downward from its equilibrium position and then released. Determine at 1.5 seconds after the block has been released at a rate of 1.2 meters per cycle. Letter A, the total distance traveled by the block, and letter B, the acceleration of the block. Alright, to solve this problem, let's take note of the given values first. Number 1 is, of course, the mass, which is M, 32 kilogram block. The stiffness K, which is 12 kilonewton per meters. The displacement, let's call this x at point 0. The time is 0. X at 0 second is 300 millimeters or 0.3 meters para align tayo sa mga units. And ano hanapin daw natin? We are going to find the total distance. So, x natin t total traveled by the block and the acceleration of the block, which is x double prime. So first, to solve this problem, ano ba yung mga ginagamit nating equations? Balikan ko yung tinuro ko kanina, yung x or displacement, yung velocity, and yung acceleration. Okay? Ano ulit yung x? X is equal to C1 cosine omega t plus C2 sine omega t. Then, the velocity would be the first derivative, negative omega C1 sine omega t plus omega C2 cosine omega t. T is again at some point in time. And lastly, acceleration, omega squared cosine C1 cosine omega t minus omega squared C2 sine omega t. We also have the equation, the natural frequency, which is denoted by the stiffness over the mass. Is equal to the square root of, we have 12 kilonewtons, so 12,000 again 12,000 kilograms per second squared all over 32 kilograms. So that would be equal to 19.3649 radians per second. Okay? Now, at the time 0, velocity would be also 0. Okay? So, substituting the values from this equation, it would be the displacement, which would be negative. Bakit? Because, sabi sa problem, downward daw. So, di ba, pag sinabi ko, pag siya ay nag-compress, the direction of the displacement is negative. So, it's negative 0.3 meters equals C1 cosine. Yung ating displacement, which is, yung ating angular frequency, which is nakuha natin 19.3649 times yung time natin, which is 0, plus C2 sine 19.3649 times 0. Okay, of course, sine, anything sine na 0 would be equal to 0. And cosine, times sa 0 would be equal to 1. So, therefore, negative 0.3 meters is equal to C1. Okay? Now, let's get the value of C2 using dito nakuha natin C1. If x is 0, then 2 negative 19.3649 radians per second times yung C1 natin na negative 0.3. Now, using the value of or the equation for v or velocity, gamit tayo ng sine 19 point something something times 0 plus 19.3649 C2, which is yung hanapin natin ngayon, times cosine 19 times 0. Again, this is 1 is equal to 1. This is equal to 0. Therefore, zero equals 19 times C2. Therefore, C2 is equal to 0. Okay? I hope nakakahabol kayo. Recap lang tayo para mas maging malinaw. Ang ginamit ko dito ay yung x equals dun sa kanina equation, which is the base equation. And then, ang ginamit ko dito is the first derivative of x, which is the velocity equation. Alright. Moving on to the next page. So, meron na tayong angular frequency, C1 and C2. Ano pang kailangan natin kunin? Let me check lang. Ang sabi dito ay kailangan nating mahanap ang total distance traveled. So, kanina, di ba, given tayo ng time, which is 1.5 seconds. Total distance traveled sa loob ng 1.5 seconds. And sa loob ng isang cycle, given tayo ng 1.2 meters per cycle. Okay. Kapag tinignan natin ang mga formula, we should know that total distance traveled is equal to a value with a unit of meters. So, paano natin makukuha yon? It is by solving for the period, wherein period T is equal to 2 pi, diba? Correct? One cycle, 2 pi radians all over ng ating frequency, which is the angular frequency, which is equal to 2 pi over 19.3649. Makakakuha tayo ng value na 0.3245 seconds. I mean, tama, seconds. Kasi period siya. So, yan, unit of time. Seconds per cycle siya, okay? Kasi ang unit nito ay cycle per second. And then, para ma-compute natin yung cycle sa loob ng 1.5 seconds, so, number of cycle sa loob ng 1.5 seconds, divide natin siya sa nakuha nating period, which is 3245 seconds per cycle. So, cancel. Makuha nating number of cycle ay 4.623 cycles. Okay po? Since meron na tayong cycle, meron din tayong kukuhanin natin ay meters. As you can see, kaya natin siyang i-cancel by multiplying the number of cycles by 1.2 meters per cycle. So, X total is equal to 4.623 cycles times 1.2 meters per cycle. Cancel. Meron tayong X total na 5.5476 meters. Okay? Pakicheck po kung tama ang akin. So, it's 5.5. Ayusin ko lang sulat. 5.5476 meters. This is the answer for letter A. Now, moving on to letter B. Ano yung hinahanap sa letter B? Acceleration. Di ba ang acceleration natin? Acceleration or X double prime is equal to negative angular frequency squared. So, it's negative 19 point something squared cosine, tama ba? Times C1. Ano C1 natin? C1 natin ay negative 0.3 meters times cosine frequency 19 times yung time natin, which is 1.5 minus minus okay, so hindi ko na ilalagay kasi, diba, C2 is equal to 0. So, ayan. Correct? Therefore, acceleration or X double prime is equal to, visit ko rin. I have my calculator here. 19.3649 squared times negative 0.3 cosine 19.49 times 1.5 seconds. Okay. Kung anong makuha niyong sagot, yun na yan. Yung lumabas sa calculator ko ay, this is correct. 159. Please check if this is correct. Okay.